I was serving Thanksgiving dinner in my own home when my mother stood up, clinked her glass, and announced she had exciting news. As you all know, Brooke is pregnant with her third child and desperately needs more space. So I've decided to give her this house. I froze with the turkey platter in my hands, staring at her. What are you talking about? This is my house. My mother smiled that patronizing smile I'd seen my whole life. Actually, sweetheart, it's my house. I bought it, it's in my name, and I'm transferring ownership to your sister. You've lived here rent-free for 5 years. I think that's generous enough. Brooke needs it more than you do. My sister Brooke sat there smirking while my mother continued. I'll give you until the end of the month to move out. Brooke and her family will be moving in December 1st. 20 guests sat around my dining table, eating food I'd cooked, watching my mother evict me from what I thought was my own home. What none of them knew, what my mother and sister were about to discover in the most devastating way possible, was that I'd been paying the mortgage on this house for 3 years. Every single payment. And I had receipts that would prove my mother had been lying to me, stealing from me, and setting me up for this exact moment. And when those receipts came out, my mother didn't just lose the house. She lost everything. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment and let me know where you're viewing from. I want to know I'm not the only one whose mother chose one child over the other in the cruelest way possible. My name is Kendra Bailey, and I'm 34 years old. I live, or rather lived, in Columbus, Ohio, in a beautiful 3-bedroom house in a quiet neighborhood. My family consists of my mother Geneva, who's 58, my older sister Brooke, who's 37, Brooke's husband Tyler, and their 2 kids with a third on the way. My father passed away from cancer when I was 12, leaving my mother to raise Brooke and me alone. Growing up, the difference between how my mother treated Brooke and me was stark. Brooke was the perfect daughter, married young, had kids immediately, lived the traditional life my mother valued. I was the disappointment, career-focused, unmarried at 34, no kids, pursuing success instead of settling down. In my mother's eyes, Brooke had her priorities right. I had mine wrong. Before I tell you about the Thanksgiving dinner where my mother tried to steal my house and how karma destroyed her, hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about mothers who play favorites and the moment their schemes collapse. These stories might open your eyes to the manipulation in your own family. The house situation started 5 years ago. I'd been working as a pharmaceutical sales rep, making good money, but living in a small apartment. My mother called me one day sounding distressed. Kendra, I need to talk to you about something important. Can you come over? I drove to her house, worried something was wrong with her health. Instead, she sat me down and explained that she'd been struggling financially since Dad died. Insurance money had run out. Her part-time job at a bookstore barely covered her expenses. I'm going to lose my house, she said, crying. I can't keep up with the mortgage payments. I don't know what to do. How much do you need? I asked, already calculating what I could afford. That's not why I called you here. I have a proposition. She pulled out papers. I found a beautiful house in Riverside Meadows. 3 bedrooms, great neighborhood, perfect for you. I can qualify for the mortgage because of my age and my credit, but I can't afford the monthly payments. What if I buy the house in my name, you live there and make the payments, and eventually I'll transfer it to you once it's paid off? Why not just help you save your current house? This house has too many memories of your father. I want to downsize anyway, maybe get a condo. This way, you get a house you'd never qualify for on your own, I get to help my daughter, and I solve my financial problems by moving somewhere cheaper. It seemed like a win-win. She'd buy a house I couldn't get approved for, I'd live there and make payments, and eventually it would be mine. We even put it in writing, a simple agreement that said I'd make all mortgage payments and she'd transfer ownership to me once the house was paid off or after 10 years, whichever came first. I moved into the house 5 years ago. It was perfect, exactly what I'd always wanted. I made every single mortgage payment on time, plus I paid for all utilities, maintenance, repairs, everything. My mother moved into a small condo across town, which she claimed was all she could afford. I decorated the house, made it mine, hosted holidays and family dinners. It never occurred to me that my mother would betray me. The agreement we'd signed seemed solid, even though it wasn't notarized or official. She was my mother. I trusted her. Over those 5 years, I noticed my mother favoring Brooke more and more obviously. When Brooke's husband Tyler lost his job, Mom gave them money for rent. When their kids needed expensive medical care, Mom helped with bills. When I asked how she could afford to help them when she'd claimed to be broke 5 years ago, she said she was managing. I later learned that Mom had convinced our wealthy aunt, my father's sister Diane, that she was destitute. Aunt Diane had been sending Mom $2,000 monthly for years, money Mom claimed she needed for basic expenses, but was actually using to fund Brooke's life. Meanwhile, I paid the $2,400 monthly mortgage on my house without complaint. I never missed a payment, never asked Mom for help, never expected her to contribute anything beyond eventually signing over the deed like we'd agreed. This past year, Brooke announced her third pregnancy. She and Tyler had been living in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment with their 2 kids. Brooke started complaining constantly about needing more space. "I don't know how we'll manage with 3 kids," she'd say at every family dinner. 2 bedrooms just isn't enough. But houses are so expensive. My mother would make sympathetic noises and shoot me looks I couldn't interpret. I should have paid more attention to those looks. 3 months ago, my mother asked if she could host Thanksgiving at my house. "Brooke's place is too small, and my condo can't fit everyone. Your house is perfect for family gatherings." "Of course," I said. "I'll cook, you just bring everyone." I spent weeks preparing. Cleaned every inch of the house, planned an elaborate menu, bought expensive wine, made everything perfect. I invited 20 people, my mother, Brooke's family, my mother's friends, some cousins, people I wanted to impress with my hosting skills and my beautiful home. Thanksgiving Day arrived. I'd been cooking since 6 a.m., preparing turkey, sides, desserts, everything homemade. Guests arrived around 2 p.m., complimenting my home, the food, the decorations. I felt proud, like I'd finally proven to my mother that I'd built something valuable even without following Brooke's traditional path. We sat down to dinner around 4 p.m. I was serving the turkey, walking around the table with the platter, making sure everyone got their preferred pieces. That's when my mother stood up, clinked her wine glass, and smiled at everyone. "I have an announcement to make," she said cheerfully. "Exciting news for Brooke and Tyler." I paused, platter in hand, assuming she was going to announce something about the baby. Gender reveal maybe, or a name they'd chosen. As you all know, Brooke is pregnant with her 3rd child and desperately needs more space. Their apartment is bursting at the seams. So I've been thinking about how to help them, and I've come up with the perfect solution. She gestured around my dining room. "I've decided to give them this house." Time seemed to stop. I stood there, turkey platter growing heavy in my hands, sure I'd misheard. "What?" I managed to say. "This house," Mom repeated. "I'm transferring ownership to Brooke and Tyler. They need the space, and it's my house to give." "It's not your house to give," I said, my voice shaking. "This is my house." Mom's smile became patronizing, that look she'd given me my whole life when she thought I was being stupid or difficult. "Actually, sweetheart, it's my house. I bought it. The deed is in my name. I've been letting you live here rent-free for 5 years, which I think has been very generous of me. But Brooke needs it now more than you do." "Rent-free? I've been paying the mortgage." "You've been contributing to household expenses," Mom corrected smoothly. "Which was fair since you were living here. But the house itself belongs to me, and I can do what I want with it." Brooke sat there smirking, her hand on her pregnant belly, looking triumphant. Tyler looked uncomfortable but said nothing. My mother's friends were nodding approvingly, like this was a wonderful, generous thing she was doing. "I'll give you until the end of the month to move out," Mom continued. "That gives you 4 weeks to find a new place. Brooke and Tyler will move in December 1st. I think that's very fair timing." 20 people were staring at me. Some looked sympathetic, most looked uncomfortable, a few looked like they agreed with my mother's assessment that Brooke deserved the house more than I did. "I'm not moving," I said, setting the turkey platter down before I dropped it. "This is my house. I've paid for it. You've paid rent, which I graciously didn't charge you. Now I'm asking you to leave so your sister can have what she needs." "Don't be selfish, Kendra." "Selfish? You're trying to steal my house and give it to Brooke, and I'm selfish." "Keep your voice down," Mom hissed. "You're making a scene in front of guests. You made the scene when you announced you're evicting me from my own home." "It's not your home." Her voice rose now too. It's mine. The deed says Geneva Bailey. Not Kendra Bailey. Me. And I'm giving it to your sister because she has children and you don't. She needs it more than you do. I looked around the table. No one was defending me. Brooke looked smug. Tyler looked away. My cousins stared at their plates. Mom's friends watched like this was entertaining dinner theater. Everyone needs to leave, I said quietly. Dinner is over. Get out of my house. It's not your house, Mom shouted. And I'm not leaving. This is my house and I'll stay as long as I want. Fine. Then I'm leaving. I walked upstairs to my bedroom, locked the door, and called the one person I knew would believe me, my Aunt Diane. My father's sister, the only family member who'd ever treated me fairly. Aunt Diane? Something terrible just happened. I explained the whole situation, my voice breaking as I recounted my mother's announcement. Brooke smirked, the guests watching my humiliation. That bitch, Aunt Diane said, fury in her voice. That lying, manipulative bitch. What do I do? Do you have proof you've been paying the mortgage? Yes. I have 5 years of bank statements showing payments to Mom's account, plus copies of the mortgage statements showing those payments being applied to the loan. Good. Don't move out. Don't sign anything. Tomorrow morning, you're going to a lawyer. I'll pay for it. We're going to destroy your mother legally. Aunt Diane. No arguments. Your mother has been lying to me for years too. I've been sending her $2,000 a month because she claimed she was destitute, that she could barely afford food. Meanwhile, she's been giving that money to Brooke while you paid all the actual bills. I'm done being lied to, and so are you. That night, I heard my mother and Brooke downstairs, laughing and celebrating. They'd resumed dinner without me, eating the food I'd cooked, drinking the wine I'd bought, planning their takeover of my house. The next morning, I called in sick to work and went to see the lawyer Aunt Diane recommended. His name was Marcus Webb, and he specialized in property disputes. I showed him everything. The informal agreement Mom and I had signed 5 years ago. 5 years of bank statements showing my monthly $2,400 payments to her. Mortgage statements in her name showing those exact amounts being applied to the loan. Text messages where she'd acknowledged I was covering the house payment. Emails discussing repairs where she'd said, "You handle it since you're paying for the place anyway." Marcus read through everything, his expression growing darker. Your mother has been committing fraud. She took your money under false pretenses, applied it to a mortgage you believed was building equity for you, and is now trying to keep 100% of the property value. Can we stop her? Not only can we stop her, we can make her regret ever thinking about this scheme. You have a claim for unjust enrichment, constructive trust, and possibly fraud. We're going to file an emergency motion to prevent the transfer of the property and then sue for ownership or reimbursement of all payments plus interest. How long will it take? The emergency motion should be heard within a week. The full case could take months. But based on this documentation, I'd say you have an excellent case. Your mother is not going to get away with this. That afternoon, I came home to find locks changed. Brooke and Mom had hired a locksmith and locked me out of my own house. My clothes were in garbage bags on the lawn. My furniture was still inside. I called the police. They came, listened to both sides, looked at the deed showing Mom's name, and told me it was a civil matter. They couldn't force her to let me back in. But she illegally evicted me. My stuff is still inside. Ma'am, the house is in her name. We can't determine who has the legal right to be there. You'll need to take it to court. I called Marcus. They locked me out. Perfect. That's a legal self-help eviction. Even if she owns the house, she can't just lock you out without proper eviction proceedings. We're adding that to the lawsuit and filing criminal charges. I moved in with Aunt Diane temporarily. She lived in a beautiful house in an expensive neighborhood and welcomed me with open arms. Stay as long as you need, she said. And don't worry about your mother. She's about to learn what happens when you mess with the wrong person. The emergency hearing was scheduled for 5 days later. Mom showed up with a budget lawyer who clearly hadn't reviewed the case thoroughly. Marcus presented our evidence, the agreement, the payment records, the text messages, everything. The judge, a stern woman named Catherine Porter, read through it all carefully. Then she looked at my mother. "Mrs. Bailey, did your daughter make monthly payments to you for this property? She contributed to expenses. Yes or no?" Did she make regular monthly payments? Yes, but... And were those payments in the amount of $2,400? Yes. And does the mortgage payment on this property happen to be $2,400? Mom's lawyer whispered to her. She nodded reluctantly. Yes. So your daughter paid the exact amount of the mortgage every month for 5 years, totaling $144,000, and you're claiming those were just contributions to household expenses? She was living there rent-free, but not mortgage-free, apparently. Mrs. Bailey, this looks very much like fraud. Your daughter has been paying your mortgage under the belief she was building equity. Now you're trying to give the property to your other daughter. Brooke needs it more. She has children. That's not relevant to property law. What's relevant is that your daughter has a substantial financial interest in this property through her payments. Judge Porter looked at Marcus. What are you asking for? An injunction preventing any transfer of the property until the case is resolved, and return of my client's possessions that she was illegally locked out from. Granted. Mrs. Bailey, you are enjoined from transferring, selling, or otherwise disposing of the property at 847 Riverside Meadows. You will also return Ms. Bailey's possessions immediately and restore her access to the property pending resolution of this case. If you attempt to lock her out again, you'll be held in contempt. Mom looked devastated. But my other daughter is supposed to move in. Your other daughter will have to wait until the court determines actual ownership. Which, given this evidence, may very well be Ms. Bailey, not you. I got my house key back that day. Brooke and Tyler, who'd already started packing to move in, were furious. My mother looked at me with pure hatred as she handed over the key. You're destroying this family over a house, she hissed. You tried to steal $144,000 from me and give it to Brooke. I'm just stopping you. The full trial was scheduled for 2 months later. During that time, Marcus discovered more evidence of Mom's schemes. She'd been telling Aunt Diane she needed money for medical bills and living expenses while actually funneling it to Brooke. She'd convinced other family members she was struggling financially while living comfortably off money that should have been mine. The trial was brutal. Marcus presented 5 years of payment records, the original agreement, testimony from the mortgage company confirming all payments came from my account. He showed emails where Mom had acknowledged I was paying for the house. Mom's lawyer tried to argue that I'd been paying rent, but couldn't explain why the rent exactly matched the mortgage or why there was a written agreement saying ownership would transfer to me. Then Marcus called Aunt Diane to testify. She explained how Mom had manipulated her into sending $24,000 a year by claiming poverty, money that was actually funding Brooke's lifestyle. Did you ever intend that money to go to Brooke? Marcus asked. Absolutely not. I was sending it to help my sister-in-law with basic expenses. If I'd known she was giving it to Brooke while Kendra paid all the actual bills, I would have stopped immediately and given the money to Kendra instead. The judge's ruling came 2 weeks later. It was comprehensive and damning. This court finds that Kendra Bailey has an equitable ownership interest in the property at 847 Riverside Meadows based on her substantial financial contributions. She has paid $144,000 toward the mortgage over 5 years, representing approximately 40% of the property's value. The court finds that Geneva Bailey engaged in fraudulent misrepresentation by accepting these payments while planning to transfer the property to another party. Therefore, the court orders the following. The property shall be transferred to Kendra Bailey's name immediately. Geneva Bailey shall reimburse Kendra Bailey for all closing costs and legal fees. Additionally, Geneva Bailey is ordered to return all monies she fraudulently obtained from Diane Bailey under false pretenses, totaling $120,000, which shall be paid to Diane Bailey within 90 days. My mother collapsed in court. She'd lost the house. She had to pay Aunt Diane $120,000 she'd stolen. She had to cover my legal fees, which were substantial. But the karma didn't stop there. Word spread through our family and community about what Mom had tried to do. People who'd watched my humiliation at Thanksgiving dinner now knew the truth. Many of them called to apologize for not defending me. My mother's friends distanced themselves from her. Her church community, which she'd always used for social status, quietly pushed her out. Aunt Diane stopped all financial support, leaving Mom to actually live on her bookstore salary for the first time. Brooke and Tyler's apart. Tenant lease was up, and they'd planned to move into my house. Now they had to scramble to find somewhere else with 3 kids on Tyler's inconsistent income. They ended up in a cheaper, smaller place than they'd been in before. My mother tried to file bankruptcy to avoid paying Aunt Diane, but the judge ruled the debt was based on fraud and therefore non-dischargeable. She was stuck with it. She ended up selling her condo to pay Aunt Diane and moved into a tiny studio apartment. The woman who'd tried to give my house to my sister was now living in 400 square feet with no savings, no financial support, and a reputation as a liar and manipulator. I stayed in my house, the house that was now legally mine. I had the deed updated, refinanced the mortgage in my name only, and removed any possible connection to my mother. The first thing I did after winning was host another Thanksgiving dinner. This time I invited only people who'd supported me, Aunt Diane, my real friends, colleagues who'd believed my story. 20 guests, just like before, but these were people who actually cared about me. I made a toast before dinner. Last Thanksgiving, my mother stood in this dining room and tried to steal this house from me. She humiliated me in front of guests, tried to give my home to my sister, and assumed I'd just accept being treated like nothing. Instead, I fought back. And now this house is legally mine. My mother is facing consequences for her fraud, and I'm surrounded by people who actually value me. Here's to standing up for yourself, even when it costs you family you never really had. My mother tried to contact me several times after the trial. Calls, texts, letters, all saying some variation of, "I'm your mother, and you destroyed me." I blocked everything. Brooke sent an email calling me selfish, saying I'd ruined their family and mom's life over a stupid house. I forwarded it to my lawyer and blocked her too. 6 months after the trial, I heard through Aunt Diane that mom's health was failing. Something about stress causing heart problems. Aunt Diane thought I should know in case I wanted to reconcile. I don't, I said. She made her choices. She chose to steal from me, to favor Brooke, to humiliate me publicly. These are consequences, not cruelty. I understand. I just thought you should know. A year after that Thanksgiving disaster, I'm still in my house. I've redecorated, removed any trace of my mother's influence, made it completely mine. I got a promotion at work and a substantial raise. I'm dating someone wonderful who thinks what I did was brave, not vindictive. My house is worth considerably more now than when Mom bought it. That $144,000 I paid has turned into about $200,000 in equity, plus I own an asset worth $400,000. If I'd let Mom give it to Brooke, I'd have lost all of that. More importantly, I learned that standing up to family isn't betrayal when that family is betraying you. That protecting yourself isn't selfish when people are trying to steal from you. That karma isn't always cosmic. Sometimes it's just consequences finally catching up to people who thought they could mistreat you forever. My mother wanted to give my house to Brooke because Brooke had kids and fit her vision of what a daughter should be. She thought she could take advantage of me one more time, humiliate me publicly, and I'd just accept it like I'd accepted being the lesser daughter my whole life. Instead, she lost everything. The house she tried to steal. The money she'd fraudulently obtained from Aunt Diane. Her reputation in the community. Her relationship with me. All because she got greedy and cruel and underestimated the daughter she'd always overlooked. Have you ever had a family member try to steal something from you while acting like they were doing you a favor? Have you fought back against a parent who played favorites your whole life? Have you watched karma hit someone who mistreated you? Share your stories in the comments below. I want to hear about times you stood up to family betrayal and won. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about family betrayal and the moment karma catches up. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that fighting back against family theft isn't wrong, it's necessary. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the best revenge is just letting people face the consequences of their own greed and cruelty. And sometimes karma doesn't need your help, it just needs documentation and a good lawyer.